make decisions with incomplete information every day. Not because you're being careless or anybody's trying to mislead you. It's just the nature of leadership. Finite visibility. You can't see everything. And unless you realize this, you're going to have big problems. So what do you do about it? What we're going to talk about in this video is not eliminating uncertainty. It's about improving the quality of information coming to you so you can make better decisions. And you're going to do that through the people in your team, the people you're leading right now. And at the end, we got a 10-point action plan you can jump on right away. High quality people expand your visibility. They identify risks, they see problems coming, and they challenge your assumptions in a professional way, but they challenge them. And lastly, they translate information and they protect it as it moves up and down and across the organization. And by contrast, weak inputs create a false sense of confidence, and they delay the inevitable consequences. So next time somebody says, great idea, think that to yourself. Because leadership is not about you knowing everything. It's about designing a system with your people that allow you to see enough to decide well. Hi, I'm Mike Targus, retired Marine and founder of Center Desk Leadership Coaching. I did 21 years in the Marine Corps leading teams and transitioned into project management, sales, and engineering. I've seen both sides, military and civilian. And this channel is about leading the team you have, not the one you wish you had. One of the big illusions about leadership is that if you try hard enough, clarity will result. But it's not just about hard work. You're always going to have some level of uncertainty. If you focus on one area, another one needs attention. You often assume that uncertainty is a temporary situation, but it's not. It's the default condition when you're leading people. And it doesn't necessarily get better with more briefings, with more presentations, with more meetings, and most of all, more control. In reality, it's just the nature of the environment. Anytime you're working with people, things are going to be incredibly complex. I say infinitely complex. It's just a characteristic of the world of leadership. What are some of the things that complicate this? You sit at a distance from execution, most likely. When you lead people that are doing the work, you can't be there with them all the time. So you're going to have to rely on them telling you how things are going. You're going to supervise, you're going to see some of that yourself, but you can't be there all the time. You got stuff to do as the leader. So think about the layers of management or layers in the organization that information needs to make it through. Each one has its own set of filters, different interpretations by the people that are in those levels. And no matter how intelligent you are or think you are, you're not going to see things exactly as they are at the point of action because you need to rely on all these people to get it to you. That is finite visibility, and it's unavoidable. You and I were always operating with partial information, half the picture, distorted signals. People's opinions are mixed in. Their interpretation is modified because of you and I. It's not one single cohesive picture. It's more like a mosaic or a collage put together by several people. And this is true in combat, sales, engineering, any type of business. The belief that leaders should know everything is just wrong. Now, you may say to yourself, well, that's obvious. Of course, nobody can know everything. But think about how we act. Often we act like we expect people to know everything. And when we act like this, we are telling people that we do believe that's the case. And it gives people a false sense of security in the information they're hearing, in the decisions they make, and it develops an unrealistic expectation for the people in your team. And then you have availability bias. This is when we overweight information that's readily accessible or recent or vivid, easily recalled from memory. But just because something is easily recalled doesn't mean that it's the most important thing we should be concerning ourselves with. Things that are the least important we should be considering can be easily recalled. And what's the significance here? Think about the people that are bringing you information on a daily basis. They're bringing you a version of the truth. They're going to summarize things. They're going to sanitize things. They're going to pad it. They're going to protect themselves in communicating with you. Maybe just a little bit or maybe a lot, depending on the culture that you've created. But the point is, this information is making it to your doorstep. It's being pushed right in front of you. So it's available, but it doesn't mean that it's accurate or important. The person on the team that just can't get time with you to tell you what they're working on may be 10 times more important. So take a step back, look at what people are bringing you, and consider what information you're not receiving as well. Because what is not visible seems non-existent, but that's really not the case. So when this happens, you're walking around feeling like you're well-informed. You're confident that you know what's going on. But let's consider this. Information asymmetry. What's this? Information asymmetry is the fact that the people that are closest to the action know more about it. They see the problems, the friction points, they're experiencing them firsthand. They're developing workarounds to keep moving forward. And you, as the leader, you're a little bit further back from that. Maybe not a great deal, but you're not there all the time. So you have to consider the fact that the people doing the work know more of the detail about it than you do. But a lot of times you don't like to lead like that. You don't like to think that about yourself. We tend to overestimate our intelligence or our appreciation of a situation or our ability to direct people properly. So resist the urge to think that you know more about the situation than the people that are actually doing the work. You know more about the context or maybe how it applies to the big picture, but they know more about the actual task that they're performing. And the relevance here is that because they do, you've got to have a system that enables them to get you that real-time information or intelligence on what's going on. The problems that are out there, you got to see those as soon as possible, because if it's reversed, if you think you know better, it's just going to compound until it's totally out of control by the time you hear about it. You can incorrectly assume that information flows naturally, up, down, and sideways through the organization, but it doesn't. The information that you need needs to be invited, and it needs to be protected and translated through the different levels. You have to work hard to make sure that you get the information you need. And one of the things that you need to be aware of is that authority changes information. It changes what people say. The people on your team, they're going to simplify things to be helpful. They may soften bad news to avoid conflict and just kind of keep everybody working together. And here's a big one. They're going to withhold how uncertain they are of a situation so they don't appear incompetent in front of you. And you and I do this too. None of this is malicious. It's an adaptation to the culture, to the rewards and punishments and incentives that people see. You get what you reward. Remember that. And if you don't handle this asymmetry correctly, what you'll have is leaders walking around confident in the wrong solutions or the wrong ideas. And that's why improving visibility is not a technical problem to solve. It's a people problem. And you can't eliminate finite visibility. It's always going to be there to some degree. And you have to compensate for it. And the lever that you're going to pull to make it better is not your personal brilliance or competence. It's the system and the processes in the people in your organization that are going to make sure you get what you need. High quality inputs. When you have high quality inputs, your visibility is increased. What kind of team members do you need on the team? A strong team member is going to surface threats early. They're going to warn you of what's around the corner. And while that also might seem obvious, it shouldn't, because people are going to protect themselves depending on the culture that you set. There's always going to be some degree of self-protection. How much exactly that is depends on you and the tone that you set. And you want somebody that's able to deal with situations that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable to them or risky to them. And one of the ways they're going to judge how much risk they're willing to assume is when they're challenging your assumptions. And this needs to be done professionally, but you want somebody to play devil's advocate, to look at things from another angle on your behalf. And you actually want people to resist the urge to oversimplify it to some degree. It's not about making leadership more comfortable. It's about making sure they're well-informed and know what they need to. It's about the interest of the team. So strong team members don't just provide information, they provide the facts along with their interpretation in a way that they know will help you. Not just straight opinions, but things they know you need. And how do we make sure this happens? You have to make sure people know what you want to hear. For example, you may want to always know, how much time do we have to make a decision? Or when's the last time we talked to a customer? These are examples of things that you can communicate to the team to let them know you always want to know that stuff up front. In the Marine Corps, this is called the Commander's Critical Information Requirements. And that has been taught a lot of different ways over the years. But the way I remember it being taught was these are the things that you're going to go wake up the commander in the middle of the night to tell them, because those are the things they really want to know about. Somebody's killed, somebody's lost, damaged equipment, something like that. What are the criteria that you need as opposed to the information that people just want to tell you? If you run a production facility or a workstation within it, you lead with the last quality check. Tom was here, did the last quality check at 3:00. Then you tell the rest of the story. That's just an example of some way you might let the team know what you want to hear first. And it should be a fact. Because when people give you weak inputs or things that you don't need to hear, and maybe leave out the stuff that you really do need, it doesn't make problems go away. It just makes them less visible. And this is how you get surprised. And being surprised is not always, in fact, it's rarely a result of a lack of intelligence. It's more so caused by not confronting or translating what's needed for the group. When people act in their own interest and their own perspectives instead of thinking about what the whole team needs to achieve. And the leader is a member of that team. So you want to understand this and act accordingly. Stop trying to see everything yourself and focus on building the team and the communication guidance that enables you to get the information from a lot of different people, a lot of different sets of eyes, not just your own. And one way you make sure that this develops is you reward clarity over optimism. It's tempting to reward the good news, but you really want to find a way to recognize when people are giving you the best possible, clear, concise information, whether it's good or bad. Think of it this way. When somebody's presenting information to you, maybe just informally talking to you, they shouldn't be able to determine whether you think it's a good outcome or a bad outcome just by the way they're telling it to you. You want to have them lead with the facts, and the reason you want to do that is so you can start to put it together in your mind as the story is being told. So you get the facts up front, and then you leave their interpretation toward the end. So you and they can draw conclusions simultaneously. They may conflict, but you're working on that together from the same basis, same foundation of facts. And while this is going on, you want to develop the ability to ask critical questions or thought-provoking leading questions that promote critical thought. You don't want to push people toward agreement. You want to get them thinking about what if. So you want to pay attention to how information makes it to you, not just what information makes it to you. And your emotion, your reaction to receiving information determines what information you hear in the future. Every reaction is a signal. When you overreact, you tell people to stay silent. When you're defensive, it teaches people to put filters on, to be selective. But if you're calm, you're going to teach people that it's okay to be transparent. That's the only way to allow the maximum amount of information to make it to you. Leaders who understand finite visibility realize their behavior today influences what they hear tomorrow. One of the reasons this is so important is because as the leader, you're inherently further away from the action, like we said. And that's what we're talking about when we say we have to compensate, we have to adjust for that by making sure that information reaches us that we need. Don't deny the distance, account for it. And that requires a strong sense of humility. You have to be confident enough to decide, but humble enough to keep your eyes open after the decision, to see if there's any adjustments that need to be made. Be decisive, yes, but also be open to correction if you see a warning sign. That's the balance that you need to strike. Because ultimately, leadership is not about knowing everything. It's about knowing enough and knowing it at the right time to make the right judgment. Invest in this team, invest in the guidance that drives the communication throughout the organization, and you're going to recognize problems earlier. You're going to have a better feel for the risks at hand, and you're going to be more agile and adaptable as things progress. Action plan, 10 points. Number 1, accept finite visibility as the default condition. Once you stop chasing certainty, you'll be able to make decisions faster. Stop trying to see everything yourself. Reports, dashboards, those all help. Focus down on making sure the quality of inputs that reach you is as good as it can be. Number 3, quality over volume of information. You need the right information timely. It doesn't matter how much information it is. Again, it sounds obvious, but a lot of times we reward large amounts of information instead of that one key piece that we need. People feel inclined to explain and explain and explain and explain when what you really want is just that one piece of information. Reward that. Number 4, be explicit about what you want to hear. People are going to default to telling you what's safest for them. So tell people what you want surfaced early: delays, friction, cost, customer issues. Because people have different opinions on things, and you may not get those when you leave it just to the people that are bringing you the information. Guide that. Number 5, separate facts from interpretation. Require people to lead with facts. Leave the opinions for later on or the interpretation. Because when you lead with facts, not only do you ensure that you're going in the right direction, but you can start formulating your appreciation earlier. Number 6, invite challenge before commitment. You want people to, even if it's uncomfortable, tell you the truth, tell you what they're really seeing. That's more important than them just agreeing for harmony in the organization. So again, make sure you're rewarding the behavior that you really want. Number 7, protect the truth, protect information as it moves up and around the organization. And you got to realize that as the leader, you're going to distort the information coming to you, especially with people that are not as familiar or used to interacting with you one-on-one. React calmly, offer follow-up questions, and resist the urge for optimism. Keep it factual and allow people to help get you to where you need to be in understanding. Number 8, watch your reactions closely. Every reaction now results in behavior in the future. Overreaction, silence. Defensiveness, filtering. Calm, transparency. What you see tomorrow depends on how you respond today. Number 9, build teams that operate in reality. Don't just hire smart people. Hire people that can translate what they're seeing into communications that you can understand that you need. The best team members take information, form it in a way that doesn't simplify or summarize for its own sake, but it makes it understandable to you. And number 10, decide confidently, but stay open-minded. Leadership requires action without certainty. And the way you balance confidence and humility is you make a decision, you be decisive, but you always assume that there could be something wrong with the decision that you make. And you don't let that paralyze you. You keep moving forward, but you keep your eyes and ears open for the warning signs that something might be off or need to be changed. It's about knowing enough at the right time to make the best judgment, the best decision. If you're leading people, you don't get ideal circumstances. You get real ones. That's what this channel is about, leading the team you have, not the one you wish you had, the one you have today, the people that are walking in to work in the morning for you. And if this video helped you think a little bit more clearly about that, like and subscribe, follow along. And until next time, realize finite visibility, not knowing everything, not being able to see everything, is the default condition. Certainty is not when you're a leader. Thanks.